Hey guys, I'm Jax and this is my spoiler review for Jordan Peele's third film, Nope. I kind of went into this not really knowing what to expect, except that Glenn from The Walking Dead is going to be a cowboy of some sort, because I do remember him having a cowboy hat. There's going to be a UFO of some kind, aliens or whatever, something like that. And so the film is not at all what I expected. What I really didn't expect was it to feel like Once Upon a Time in Hollywood in some ways, where it's like just a bunch of people trying to make it in Hollywood for the first like 25 minutes, and then there's like, oh, maybe there's a UFO. But then the way the UFO kind of stuff starts playing out, it then started reminding me of Twister. But if, you know, the Twister in Twister was a UFO, but then actually that UFO wasn't a UFO with little aliens inside, but it was just a big hungry beast thing. Like a very angry lion, but in the sky. That's a Twister. It's a crazy combination of things. So just something I wasn't really expecting or prepared for. But then for it to turn out to be not an actual flying saucer that looks like a flying saucer, but it's a beast. But actually, no, it's this weird, silky butterfly monster, but it just appears like a flying saucer. Like it knew it was trolling the audience, like it was like, haha, they'll all think I'm a flying saucer with little green men inside, ha ha ha, what a good troll. But it didn't, it didn't have a personality like that. It was just a hungry predator. And it was just a crazy sequence of events. This film is utterly insane. I had a wonderful time watching it. It's madness, it's terrifying, it's exciting. It's really thought-provoking in so many interesting ways that I really didn't think it would be. Like, I was kind of expecting to have, like, scary spooks and scares, kind of more along the line of Us, where Us really scared me, but it kind of fell apart with, like, just the actual mechanics of it all, and towards the end, I'm just like, oh, I feel like this is... I don't know, it's just not really working for me. Get Out is a masterpiece. I just rewatched it for like the 10th time, but I knew it wasn't going to be like that. But the way that it kind of really surprised me is that it was saying so much about Hollywood, which is why it kind of reminded me of Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. And it had so much to say about kind of exploitation and kind of using animals and exploiting them and putting them in a film and be like, look, there's a horse in this film, or more specifically, look at this chimp. How good's this chimp? And the film starts with a chimp covered in blood. And of course, it's a CGI chimp. Looks so good. We've come so far. But it's just like there, and you're just like, what has happened? There's a shoe? Why is the shoe? Like, it's defying gravity or something. And the ape's just crawling around, it looks at the camera, cuts. And I'm just like, what film am I about to watch? And throughout the film, as we meet all these other characters and all these cowboy situations, and we go through it, and they're like, we gotta get a picture of the flying saucer. And I'm like, okay, trying to capture that spectacle, get some money for the farm, all these, human personal reasons. But it's about spectacle. It's about filmmaking and capturing that thing and what humans will go to. We even have a character towards the end, our cinematographer guru man, and he literally runs up a cliff and just suicides himself for the shot. And I feel like that maybe took it like one tiny step a bit too far into the kind of almost a bit of a parody of itself at that point, where it's just kind of like, dude, you're clearly gonna die. Like, he's running off with the camera and they're like, oh boy, that cinematographer guy, he really wants that shot. I'm like, yeah, I got the theme you were going for. So it just seemed a bit kind of like, I don't know, I just hate it when a character's like, I'm gonna go sacrifice myself, guys. You don't need to do that. Like, there is another way. You already got the shot. He's like, I can get a better shot. The lighting's like, I guess that's the point. It just kind of infuriated me because I'm just like, dude, you're clearly going to die right now. Speaking of clearly about to die, I love the Daniel Kaluuya's character in his gorgeous, bright orange thing on the horse at the end with the smoke whizzing through. Because there was a point when it ended, I'm like, wait, hold on. Did he die? Did I blink? What happened? I was so swept up in the fact that the saucer alien beast thing was actually a big beautiful butterfly, and I was just like, what is going on? This is crazy. And then I kind of forgot, wait, did he die? And then he's just there riding. You've got the classic old cowboy kind of thing and everything, and just I was so excited that he was alive. And that made me realize how much these characters kind of worked, how great that brother sister kind of sibling kind of thing worked. Like, they weren't like the bestest of buddies, but they weren't like so estranged that they were like, had this kind of like cliche arc or anything. And I just thought they were a really nice dynamic and they were really fun together. Both actors were just like so good. I loved how she was so just like kind of colorful and bouncy and just energetic. And Daniel Kaluuya is just kind of like, oh man, I love horses, but goddamn do I hate Hollywood. I hate all of this. Ugh. It was just a really fun dynamic. He is stunning. I feel like I think I heard Jordan Peele say like, he's my Robert De Niro if I was Michael Scorsese. Let's just presume I said that name correctly. And I love that because those two guys work so well together. He's, exceptional in Get Out, and he's wonderful in this, but he's also so different, which is really exciting. He's just a fabulous actor. I love watching him. So for the whole film, while we're doing our UFO, but maybe the UFO is a beast. Oh, it's a beast. Oh, I kept going, okay, what's the deal with the ape? And I get, as the story goes on, that, Glenn from Walking Dead, his whole, thing is that he was on that show, he was traumatized by it, but he's kind of reacted to that trauma in this really interesting way where he's kind of embraced it, and he's like, actually, I'll just, I'll embrace it. I've got a big room. Let's people have sex in there all night, or whatever the hell those people paid $50,000 for a night in this just big room of trophies, and it's like a shrine to that kind of horrible moment that scarred him. But he's kind of tried to embrace that horror, which is just so bizarre and fascinating. And I was trying to figure out but what is this to do with the big, what's it with the alien? But the alien's a beast. And then when you started realizing, oh, the alien is a sentient fleshy beast silk thingy, and it's eating them all and whatever. But the moment that it clicked was when he's like, hey, everyone, actually, you're here for this little kind of cheesy, campy kind of cowboy thing, but actually, I'm sacrificing this horse to an alien. It's a flying saucer, but it's going to eat it. And I'm just oh my god, he was on a show where they had a beast, and they're trying to tame the beast, but then the beast is you can't tame me, I'm an ape! And the ape killed them all, except for him, and he's I can do anything, I can do it again. I can do it with giant flying saucer UFO beast man. And I was just oh my god, it's all connected, it's all weaving. And just the idea of starting the movie with that ape all bloody, chaos everywhere, just so lost as to what I'm watching. I thought this was about cowboys and a UFO. What is happening? And the ape just looking at the camera, looking at us, and then realizing we were the POV of Glenn from Walking Dead, and then Glenn from Walking Dead's trying to tame the beast, but then the beast is actually, no, you can't tame me. And it comes back to bite him, and he gets eaten. And then that's the moment where we realize it's an actual beast, this monster, this fleshy thing. And they get sucked up its stomach, intestine, chewy things in the most horrific moment of the film. And it was just so claustrophobic, so fantastic. I don't even think we see him get swallowed. We just start following everybody, and it's chaos and madness. And that was when I was this film is a masterpiece. It's so good. I throw that word around probably too much, but it's a very, very good film. I loved it. I was a little bit kind of thrown at the end because I loved the idea that it's a UFO. It just it's a beast, an alien beast, but it happens to look like our cliche generic UFO. I'm just that's just so much fun. But then when it's actually, I'm a beautiful butterfly. I was a bit confused by that. Just why don't we see that until the end? What happened to make it go, actually, I'm a big, beautiful butterfly thingy? Why was it always looking like a saucer? It just kind of feels a bit too convenient that it looked like one thing, but that was almost a camouflage. It's not aware that we would think it's a flying saucer with little alien men inside. So what's the deal there? I don't know. That's such a stupid nitpick, but the third act kind of threw me just because of that. I just couldn't, come past that. I'm just why is it a butterfly now? It was a flying saucer beast man thingy. I don't know. Jordan Peele has so quickly mastered kind of filmmaking with the horror and thriller elements, but bringing in that satire and comedy and just, all those kind of things blending and mixing together. And in this one, he kind of adds that kind of blockbuster spectacle. And at first, I'm that's just cool. That's just sick. It's a big blockbuster. There's a big ship and he's framing it really interestingly. I heard that it was he shot it on IMAX. I didn't know that until after the screening. I was just looking up a couple of things, and that's really cool. I didn't really notice any difference there, but my eye isn't trained like that necessarily. But maybe I did notice because I felt it was so grand and epic. We're on this ranch and everything felt so kind of wide and grand and epic, and it reminded me of kind of a Western and that. And there's a lot of little touches here and there where I feel it's coming from this true place of love from Jordan Peele of these kind of genres, of this sci-fi, of this Western, of the horror. That moment when the fleshy sci-fi thing, the UFO beast, is throwing up all the stuff it doesn't like and it's draining its blood so it can eat more or whatever. Because I guess it can't contain it, its stomach, it just lets it all go, and it's just dripping, blood's just drenching over the house, and things are falling and smashing everywhere. Just wondrous. Obviously horrible, terrifying, just horrifically terrifying, but just wondrous filmmaking, just so epic, so spectacular, just so grand and like bombastically big and epic. And it's kind of like, that's kind of the one step I feel like he's taken from his other two, which felt so kind of small and low scale, like, you know, not that that's a bad thing, it's just like they were just so kind of confined to their little areas, just people kind of doing little things. Whereas this, we've got a big UFO, but it's a fleshy beast and it turns into a butterfly and people are riding horses around and just there's so much kind of stuff going on. It's really exciting to see him kind of take that next step, but he doesn't take that next step and then go, well, now it's a big Marvel movie, or what? Not to throw shade at Marvel movies, but just that type of thing, like a, you know, like a Roland Emmerich kind of film where it's like, now we've got the big alien and it destroys the thing and does the thing. Well, who cares about story and themes and ideas and characters? Like, look at the UFO, you little idiot. Eat your popcorn and look at the UFO. Whereas Jordan Peele's like done that where he's like, look at the UFO. But the rules of the monster, like the horror rules of the monster, which I love as well. Like I love when a movie, like the movie horror villain has like rules. Like there's certain things you can and can't do and you can kind of stick by the rules to survive or not survive. And this has that, but it's so entwined with the theme of spectacle and look at the big thing. But then the big UFO beast is like, look at me and I'll eat you. And they're all like, I can't look because then it won't eat me. And it's like, the characters in the movie are not looking at the big spectacle, and we're looking at this big spectacle, but the whole thing of the characters is that they can't look at the big spectacle. It's just genius. It's just so sillily, funnily genius, and it's got this beautiful, ironic twist to it that I just love. Like, as I realized that, like that bit where he's like, I don't think we can look at the beast, I'm like, but it's awesome, as if you would want to look at it, and I'm like, ho ho ho, Jordan Peele. I see what you've done here. And that's very clever. And he so cleverly does the same thing with the ape. Like we have moments where the ape is like, we cut back to him being all vicious and bloody, but we never really see it. We keep seeing it from little young Glenn from Walking Dead's like perspective, and we never fully see it. And I kept thinking, show the ape, kill them. And then I'm like, oh my God, Jordan Peele's made this movie mocking and celebrating me or something. It's just, like, he's like, yeah, you want to see this ape kill people? Well, I'm not going to show you. You want to see this big UFO? But it keeps disappearing behind clouds and hiding and stuff. And the characters, like, the message of the film is that don't look at the big spectacle. But he's made a film where I can't help but just look at the big spectacle. It's madness. This film is madness. So I'm not even sure if this is like the correct rating. Well, I guess there's never really a correct rating. It's like the beauty of film is that you can kind of see it and interpret it any way you want. So I'm sure a lot of people are kind of seeing it different ways. The monkey, it's like this cautionary tale. Like we wanted to exploit this monkey and we wanted to utilize it for money, for profit, for laughs and for entertainment, for the spectacle. Look, it's a monkey. He's in a suit or whatever. But it turned on them. He went all King Kong and he killed them all. And because that's kind of nature or animals and beasts. And then literally this big UFO looking beast that kind of whips up twister tornado kind of things, creating this nature looking thing. And it's like this nature from another world, I suppose, as well. And it's coming to kind of bite them all in the ass, like bloody Glenn from The Walking Dead. He's like, couldn't tame the beast as a kid. Now he's trying to tame the beast again. So he didn't learn from his mistakes and he's punished. And I don't know, there's just so many interesting, complex things going on. And it's so fascinating that he's done it while he's doing these big, grand shots and the big UFOs going and there's all the wavy, inflatable guys thingies, which totally feel like they're stealing my kind of gimmick with just the waving arms. Like I kept seeing it in the movie and I'm like, that's my thing. That's what I do on my channel. I wave my arms around and yell. I guess they're not yelling, but I always imagine that they're yelling in their minds. But it's a fun thing where I don't feel like he's kind of saying, hey, don't enjoy spectacle or don't chase that dream that's maybe dangerous or don't do this. He's like kind of suggesting that maybe you shouldn't. But then the heroes kill the beast and get the photo and, they get all the things in the end and they get that heroic cowboy shot at the end. Like, hey, I'm the cool hero cowboy. I did it. So it's kind of like, I don't know. I feel like he's kind of discussing these ideas and stuff without kind of saying his point on it, because he might be saying like, don't exploit this, don't do that, don't do that. But at the same time, the characters kind of exploit this big beast monster and kill it and get the photo. And presumably they're going to make all this money off it and be successful because of it. So it's kind of, I don't know, he almost has his cake and eats it too, I think. I don't know. I would be super, super interested what people think of this film. What kind of themes and ideas did they kind of get from it? Do they agree with me? Do you disagree? Are you kind of like, whoa, I didn't see any of that. I kind of read it like this. I'd be super fascinated, super curious to know. Bloody hit me up in the comments.